All right, let's talk about tags. If you have noticed, whenever we build an image or pull it from Docker Hub, by default, Docker uses the latest tag. Now, this latest tag is just a label. There is nothing special about it. So it doesn't necessarily mean this is the latest version of your image. If you don't tag your images properly, latest can point to an older image. I will show you that in a second. Also, keep in mind that latest is totally fine for development, but you shouldn't use it in production. You don't want to put an image with the latest tag in your production or staging server, because if something goes wrong, you cannot easily troubleshoot issues because you don't know what version you're really running in production. If you want to do a rollback or an upgrade, how can you tell what version you're running in production if it's always latest? So you should always use explicit tags to identify what version you're running in each environment, in your test environment, staging, and production. For development, latest is totally fine. Now, in this lesson, I'm going to show you how to tag your images properly. But before we get started, I want to do a clean build. So we start on a clean canvas. So Docker build -t React app period. Good. So let's look at our images. We have 3 images and all of them have the latest tag. Now, how can we tag an image? Well, there are 2 ways. One way is to tag an image while building it. So we type Docker build -t for tag. So far, we have just typed the image name, but we can type a colon followed by a tag. Now, what tag should we use? Well, this is where different teams have different preferences. Some teams like code names. Let's say you have a version called Buster, and everyone in your team knows what Buster version is all about. Then you can use it as a tag. Other teams prefer semantic versioning, like 3.1.5. This approach is common amongst teams that don't release that often. Now, teams that release frequently prefer build numbers. Let's say build 76 or 77. Now, quite often, this is done automatically by a continuous integration and deployment tool. So if you use a continuous integration or deployment tool in your organization, you can configure your tool to check out the latest code from your repository, build an image, and automatically tag it with the current build number. Now, that's outside the scope of this course. So let's go ahead and give this image a tag like version 1 and build it. All right, our build was blazing fast. Let's look at the images one more time. All right, here we have an interesting situation. This React app image that we have has 2 tags, 1 and latest. So it's the same image with multiple tags. How do I know? Look at the image ID. Both these images have the same identifier. So an image can have multiple tags. Now, what if we made a mistake and want to remove this tag? Well, we use the remove command. So Docker image remove, and here we type the image name followed by the tag. Okay, the tag is gone. So let's look at the images. Perfect. We only have the latest tag. So one way to tag an image is while building it. But what if you want to tag an image after? We use the tag command. So Docker images tag. First, we identify our source image. We can use the full image name and its tag, or we can use an image ID, whatever you prefer. So we're going to get this image and apply a new tag to it. React app version 1. I made a mistake because I spelled images as plural. So that should be Docker image tag React app latest. We're going to give it a new tag. Good. Now let's verify that everything is in the right shape. Perfect. Now, earlier I told you that the latest tag can get out of order. Let's see that in action. So I'm going to go back to our project and make a tiny change. In this README file, I'm going to add a couple more pluses simulating a change in the application's code. Now we're going to build a new image. So let's say Docker build -t React app. Let's say this is version 2. Okay, great. Now let's look at the images. So we have 2 versions of this image, version 2 and version 1. Now look at the latest tag. It's pointing to the first version because both these tags are pointing to the same image, which is older. I built this image at the beginning of this lesson. So here's what you need to take away. The latest tag doesn't necessarily reference the latest image. You have to explicitly apply it to the latest image. So how do we do that? Pause the video and do this on your own. Here's how we do it. Docker image tag. We're going to identify our image. This time I'm going to use the image ID. So we can type B06. We're going to give this image a new tag, React App, latest. Okay. Now let's look at the images again. Good. So now the latest tag is pointing to version 2 of our image. Great. Next, we're going to talk about sharing images.